ask for the former, the prior Henry Hewes Design Awards and probably future Henry Hewes Design Award honorees to just stand for a moment so that we can see who you are. Natasha and William, Jules Fisher, Peggy Eisenhower, Ricardo Hernandez, Kathy Huber, Linda Cho, Michael Yearkin, Nevin Steinberg. I think I got everybody. Thank you all for being here. This is all about the designers, and that's what's so important to us, and it was always important to Henry Hewes in his long collaboration with designers, and particularly with Ming Cho Lee, who we are honoring today. So this is the 54th Annual Henry Hewes Design Awards, which honors the work of design artists across all venues in New York professional theater. And we do so today with the largest group of designers and past honorees that we've gathered in the 54 years of these awards. As we begin today, we should take a moment to recall how these awards came to be and how they've continued until today. In the early 1960s, the designer Ralph Alswang suggested that Henry Hewes convene a committee to celebrate the accomplishments of theater design in New York. Henry was the right one for the job because he was an advocate for theater design in his work with the legendary Joe Milziner, Eddie Cook, and Ming Cho Lee on the American National Theater and Academy, which led in a circuitous way to what we now call Lincoln Center Theater. These awards began as the Muharrem Awards, named for their benefactor, Joseph Muharrem, and I think it's always important to say Joe Muharrem's name. He was an important contributor to theater through his fabrics business. When Mr. Muharrem could no longer sponsor the awards, the great Isabel Stevenson offered to provide sponsorship, and the awards were renamed the American Theater Wing Design Awards. In 1999, Isabel Stevenson and Roy Somlio suggested that the awards were more properly called the Henry Hewes Design Awards, due to Henry's long service to the awards, to the wing, and to the theater in general. The landscape of design is shifting rapidly these days. Changes in light, sound, and scenic technology offer an ever wider range of creative possibilities to our design colleagues. When is a projection a scene design? When is it lighting? Just last week, the Tony Administration Committee ruled that the scenic designer and projection designer in Head Over Heels would be eligible together in scenic design. And these conversations continue and will do so as technologies evolve and emerge. As we ponder this unceasing change, however, the Henry Hewes Design Awards Committee keeps foremost in its collective mind the manifold ways in which creativity plus or minus technology equals theatrical magic. Over the past 54 years, the Henry Hewes Design Awards has bestowed 308 honors to 199 artists representing 216 productions. This year, 87 theater artists were nominated for outstanding work on 55 productions that spanned Broadway, Off-Broadway, and Off-Broadway.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be continue to be included in the Hewes Awards in any way, and I'm particularly proud to be here today to present to my colleague, Hefferan. I'm going to tell one quick story, which I think you'll indulge me for. I'll try to be louder. You'd think I'd have that figured out. So. Palmer and I were working on a project a few years ago, and we were to meet for something, and I honestly don't remember what, but we were texting because that's what we do to make sure that we're going to be on time, and there was a scheduling thing, but eventually Palmer arrived and texted me to let me know that she had made it to our meeting place, and somehow or another, what the text which should have read, "I'm here," came to my phone as "I'm Jeter," J-E-T-E-R, with an exclamation point, and a capital J. And I hope some of you are baseball fans, because otherwise this won't mean anything to you. But basically it delighted me to no end, and as most things in my life, I completely glommed onto it and won't let it go, and now continue to call Palmer Jeter whenever we see each other or speak on the phone. What's interesting about that, other than I hope that it's kind of funny and diverting, is that it actually turns out to be a pretty appropriate nickname for my friend Palmer. Like many things in my life, also it's kind of a half of a joke, because those of you who know baseball, Derek Jeter was a longtime shortstop for the New York Yankees, World Championship team, and was their captain, actually, which is an unusual honor bestowed to baseball players. But the Yankees saw fit to make him their captain. And he had an amazing career. And Palmer shares, I think, some of the qualities of Derek Jeter. Derek was a great leader and a great teammate, and in baseball parlance, played the game the right way. And I think Palmer continues to show that in her career and in her human interactions, at the very least with me, and I know with many of my friends and colleagues. So I'm very happy to present this to you today. One member of the Hewes Committee wrote, "Most playwrights today get our phone-obsessed, zero-contact reality wrong. But Susan Soon Lee Stanton nails it in Today Is My Birthday. With a modernization of the epistolary play, every scene is actually a phone conversation, a voicemail, or, at its most ridiculous and painful, a butt dial. But real and unreal slide together in the weird distance inherent to microphone conversations." Sound designer Palmer Hefferan created a superb sound design, that's a quote, that essentially converted the New Ohio Theater into a recording studio. Acting as her own Foley artist, Hefferan provided a non-stop parade of sound effects that added a necessary realism to this quirky comedy. These effects created a pleasurable experience that was underpinned by profound alienation. And so for excellence in notable effects through sound design, during the 2017-2018 New York theater season, Palmer Hefferan receives the 2018 Henry Hewes Design Award for Today Is My Birthday.
Hi, this is so meaningful to receive this from the Hewes organization. I appreciate so much listening in. We are the invisible design, but we're back there in the dark as well, creating very detailed atmosphere and worlds for the play to be a container in, along with the set and costumes and projections and lighting design. And also so meaningful to have Nevin be my presenter as well. I think he's a treasured mentor of mine. I worked with him on my first, assisted him on my first Broadway show, which was a huge entrance for me into New York theater world, and it's so exciting to be here today to receive this recognition. Susan Stanton wrote this amazing play that sound design was an additional character. We had sound design in the room from the first day of rehearsal because it was so integral to the production itself, and it's so special to have this recognized, especially for an off-off production. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you to the Hewes organization. Yeah, Jeter signs out.
I have known David now for many years, and I have been following his career, especially in opera, obsessing with, like, for example, his Clemenza de Tito at Santa Fe Opera, which I thought was just unbelievably incredible. And since then, I've had the fortune to work with him as costume designer and myself as set designer in multiple productions, and he is quite a visionary. So I am thrilled and honored to present this award to David. So our 2018 Scenic Design Honoree received strong support for the phantasmagoria of his scenic and costume designs of SpongeBob SquarePants. As one committee member wrote, "There's no getting around it. This is an outstanding feat of the imagination, rendering a cartoon universe in 3 dimensions, with all its dizzying detail intact." Another wrote, The comic sensibility is a mashup of 60s camp and 80s irony. Whatever, it is a wonderland. For excellence in transforming the Palace Theater into a magical underwater kingdom during the 2017-2018 New York theater season, David Zinn received the 2018 Henry Hewes Design Award for SpongeBob SquarePants.
And David is here in the person of Meredith Ries. Meredith.
Hi, I'm Meredith. I was David's associate on SpongeBob SquarePants, and anyway, he sent along something for me to read, if that's okay. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry I can't be there in person to accept this award. It's an honor to be singled out for mention during a season in which so much great work was made. It is a particular honor to be presented this by Ricardo, whose own work, full of great intelligence, muscularity, and grace, has always been a huge inspiration to me. SpongeBob was a once-in-a-lifetime project, and I was lucky to have Peter Negrini and Kevin Adams with me to make our world truly come alive. Thanks also to Meredith, who kept it all together, and most importantly to Tina Landau, our fearless director, who inspired me to run wild with both of our imaginations. Thank you.
When I walked into the theater to see SpongeBob SquarePants, I had my 4-year-old daughter with me, and she walked in and said, "Daddy, this is the most beautiful theater I've ever seen." And now that theater had been completely transformed. For those of you who didn't get to see the show, it was completely transformed by David's vision of what was going on. And I thought, well, you're only 4 years old. But the fact is, she's seen about 20 productions already. And so I said, well, okay, so we'll let David know how much you love this show. It is my pleasure to welcome back to the Hewes Awards our friend Catherine Zuber, who was honored by this group some years ago for the brilliant hat parade in Carol Churchill's chilling 2003 production of Far Away. And I'm suddenly seeing a theme here of New York Theater Workshop productions that we've honored in the past. Please welcome Catherine Zuber to the lectern.
It's an honor to be here among all my wonderful friends and colleagues. I'm here to present the award to Emily Rebholz for costume design, and it is for her wonderful work in The Low Road. In Bruce Nars's picturesque The Low Road, a foundling boy becomes enamored of the ideas of the proto-capitalist Adam Smith. On the journey of the nearly 3-hour play set in colonial America, costume designer Emily Rebholz wanted to create clothing for people of every class, from well-off New Yorkers to Hessian soldiers to tavern merchants. The clothes and their fabrics were true to the late 18th century period and to the characters' identities. And Rebholz's artistry continued to rise as the scene shifted to our more modern era. For excellence in storytelling through costume design, during the 2017-18 New York theater season, Emily Rebholz receives the 2018 Henry Hewes Design Award for The Low Road.
Funny story, this sort of all became, this all started off with a coin toss. I was looking for fabric for this show, and I found the most perfect thing. I was like, this fabric is beautiful. Someone had left it on a table. It was embroidered. I couldn't believe we could afford it. And I swirl it away and I hide it, and I'm on the phone with the draper. I'm like, do you think we can use it? Do you think we can use it? And he's like, I'm going to do quick calculations. And I go back there, and this woman comes in. She's like, I'm buying that fabric. I said, no, I have to have this fabric. And so we decided to flip a coin, and I won. And I think that it was an auspicious start to the project. Thank you so much to the Hewes Foundation and the Hewes Award for this. It means so much to me. It was an enormous project. It was exciting and fabulous. I mean, I read the script when Michael gave it to me, Michael Greif, my colleague and director, and I was like, wow, we are really going for this. I mean, the whole thing ends with alien bees. But it was so fun to get to do, and it was such an honor to work with so many wonderful people, with my slew of assistants. I mean, it always takes a village. I think this one took a city to put together, and it was really wonderful, and we were all really, really proud of it in the end. It was a wonderful play, a wonderful team, and a really great experience. So I'm really honored and feel so grateful for this award, and it means a lot. Thank you.
You know, wonderful to be here. Lots of old friends, lots of old colleagues, maybe some new friends. What seems like a lifetime ago, in 2003, Jeanette Oi-Suk Yew and I met at the California Institute of the Arts, where she was an incoming graduate student and I was an outgoing graduate faculty. But we did manage to spend a year there and have remained a very productive year there, I think, together. And have managed to remain very good friends ever since. There's a bit of work of hers that I saw. You know, I should say that she brought, as a graduate student, an interest in puppetry, directing, and writing that actually opened up a lighting design class in such a kind of wonderful, really, really wonderful way. And so for that last year of my tenure at Cal Arts, it made it very, very special for me. And it's so great to see you on here by the Hewes Award. According to Jerry, the self-styled cultural ambassador, in the sprawling show titled K-pop, the term K-pop is comprised of various styles, tropes, and audiovisual elements that include pop, rock, hip-hop, R&B, jazz, funk, reggae, folk, electronica, rave, techno, and new metal. As one member of the Hewes Committee wrote, you had to do all kinds of lighting for this multi-space extravaganza, including stark institutional illumination, glamour lighting for a pop star press conference, and all stops out concert lighting for the finale. And she did it all with style. So, for excellence in lighting design during the 2017-2018 New York theater season, Jeanette Oi-Suk Yew receives the 2018 Henry Hewes Design Award for K-pop.
Hi, thank you so much. This has been such a surprise and an honor. K-pop was a crazy experience. It has 6 distinct environments with separate subdivided environments and routes, and travel is an immersive piece of theater. So we literally, I think my entire team spent 28 days consecutively from 8 a.m. to 2 a.m. In order to pull it sort of out and make it happen. But it was such an amazing variety of work, and be able to flex that muscle and be able to also see how the audience connected with this storytelling about belonging and identity and cultural infusions from sort of across this entire oceans. And seeing the diversity in the audience who show up every night is really super exciting. And being also in this room with all designers, it's like how it never happened like this. This is so exciting. And seeing Ming, many years ago, Ming critiqued my opera design. There is recorded on film somewhere. There was an hour long of him sitting next to me. So I would love to see that video someday. Just as a note. But thank you again, and lastly, I really want to thank my husband, who want to form a support group for partners who are the designer, the partners of designer. So you can contact him after this luncheon. Thank you.
It is a thrill to be here. It really is. So many familiar faces, and this award has always been such an exciting award because it's really about us. It's about the designers, and it's a small group of people, and it's just nice to be amongst friends. So anyway, I have the distinct pleasure to award the Lifetime Achievement Award to Ming Cho Lee, who was my teacher, and my mentor, my good friend, and my fellow opera lover. So I'm going to read this. This is from the Hewes people. There probably is no one among us who does not know the work and career of Ming Cho Lee. Tony Award nominee, honoree, member of the Theater Hall of Fame, National Medal of the Arts recipient, designer for theater and opera, collaborator, teacher, mentor, and friend. These are all descriptions that fit Ming's professional life, and they do not include the important roles of son, husband, father, and grandfather. And we are all happy that the Lee family could be with us today to celebrate his achievements. So far, that means, with Ming, there still may be another design, another idea to surprise us, to make us catch our breath, and to make us wonder. When the Hewes Committee informed Ming that they would like to honor him with his first Lifetime Achievement Award, Ming, with typical grace, responded, "It would be a great honor to be part of an event in Henry's name." He went on to describe a collaboration with Henry Hewes that went back to the late 50s when they worked on a booklet called Theater Checklist, which was inspired by Eddie Cook and Joe Milzino. We have some copies of the booklet here in the room today. I believe they're on all of the tables. That book, when I came to Yale in 1969, which was also the year that Ming came to Yale to teach, that book was readily available to all of us, and we all memorized it practically, not so much for the information, but for the incredible drawings. Not realizing that Ming had actually done all the drawings for the book and illustrated it. So it was like a real trip down memory lane to see it on the tables here today. So, on behalf of the Henry Hewes Design Awards, please help me honor the great designer Ming Cho Lee with his Lifetime Achievement Award in Design.
My God, to be part of the Henry Hewes and family is something remarkable. I knew Henry starting 1958. That is a long, long journey. And Henry was kind of a part of the amphitheater group that with Eddie Cook and Joe Milzino. Now, I think none of you have met Eddie Cook or Joe Milzino, except the Hewes family and William Harvey Long. William Harvey Long is always there. And the reason Henry and I met was because Eddie Cook, who owns the Century Lighting company, who ran all the lights to the Broadway shows. Can you imagine all the lights came from this man, the boss at Century Lighting, and Century Lighting became one of the powerhouse of American theater. And there was this little guy, because Henry is a very tall guy. Henry had big feet and big hands. And I'm always somewhat intimidated because he is so big. And we were assigned to do this booklet called Theater Checklist. And the purpose of it was, at that time, can you imagine time travel? The American theater professionals decided that it's time to put all the necessary ingredients that makes the theater into a booklet. And since I was an apprentice for Joe Milzino, I was assigned to do all the drawing, illustration, such as interesting topics like, if you build a theater, you must not forget exits. And exits have several qualities, such as the hallway must be wide enough for this, that, and that will elucidate for me to do an illustration. The subject matter actually was very boring. You keep drawing what's to do and never what's not to do. And not to do is always more interesting. And Henry, since some of you, the kids, and William Armstrong and people who have met Henry, Henry is a big man. Very long face, huge hands, and huge feet. And he is a little bit clumsier with his feet, so he always trips over himself. And it becomes his entry to my apartment, being more crowded than it should be, that here's Henry always trip over his feet. And then we will proceed to talk about the checklist. And then when I had a job in San Francisco, I took the checklist from New York to San Francisco, traveled with me, and then when I came back, we were still together, Henry and I, and we have to report to Joe Malzina, as well as Eddie Cook. And we almost sometimes meet every night, late into the night. And there was Henry, always endlessly perceptive and fair. And for a young designer, if you have a chance to do a booklet, the first thing you do is want to downplay Broadway, not realizing that Henry writes about Broadway. It's Saturday Evening Review. And Saturday Evening was the powerhouse of intellectuality of the American theater, all because of Henry Hewes. And people read Saturday Review at the end of the week instead of the daily newspaper, and there was Henry writing about American theater. Infinitely fair, infinitely perceptive, and have a lot to say. And that was Henry. And we finally got the booklets together. I must say, you got a copy here. Treasure it. Today, I don't think it can happen without Henry putting this booklet together about theater. Very dry subject matter. The only fun I had actually was writing about acoustics. And we have experts from all the field. And there was Henry with all the grand old men. No women, grand old men. The world has traveled a long way. But anyway, we finally put the booklet together, and it's quite handsome looking. The only fun I had was for the acoustics. Finally, Mr. Harris, I think, famous sound designer, said, "You can't illustrate acoustics. And if you do, you have crossed the line of being modest. How dare you to illustrate acoustics? And so I decided the thing to do was, if you have a theater, what are the sounds, where are the sounds coming from? Well, the sound came from taxi drivers. The sound came from helicopters. The sound came from airplanes. The sound came from bus drivers, louder than everyone else. And here was this big booklet about all the different sounds with little arrows and so forth. And I was a deadly serious Chinese show that deadly serious Chinese actually have a sense of humor. And this booklet is not bad. And then I wanted to do, at that time, can you imagine? Thrust stage had not really existed. Thrust stage came from Canada, Stratham, Ontario. That is the gospel. And then there's Joe reluctantly talking to designing Vivian Beaumont and a thrust stage. So that needs to be recognized. Then there are a few, far and few in between. And I illustrate them all. And the one that has the most fun was Beware of Acoustics. And that is actually the more interesting work that has a sense of humor.
This page.
Yes,
That's the
yes.
page, yeah.
It's very funny.
Page 37.
Was it Cyril Harris?
Huh?
Cyril Harris.
Cheryl Harris. Cheryl Harris. He was the gospel of acoustics. And eventually the book published, and Henry took most of the copy because who wants to buy this dry book about theater, let alone we have hardly enough time to get on to New York Times, and here's this booklet celebrating theater as a live animal. Nobody wants to hear it. And that's why Henry has so many copies. And some of you are coming to you. And Jane was equally wonderful. So was Betsy. And so are my kids. So here are the kids here. And I think I can go on forever, which I shouldn't do, but to say thank you very, very, very much. And I think I am the first Hefferan Award winner. I think it was designed for Central Park. I'm not sure. Or it was my first Broadway show.
Was it for the Delaware?
Oh, yeah, I think Electra.
Electra.
Electra. I think it was Electra.
I was blanking. It's Electra, 1965.
And then the second year, Henry called And that was in 1956. I designed 2 Tennessee Williams, 1 Mac. The night before Floor and
The mutilated.
mutilated. And Henry called me saying, "We'd like to give it to you again." I said, "Oh no." The idiot that I was. And I said, "They're terrible plays. Despite Tennessee Williams, they are really kind of horrible plays." Not realizing they were very great plays, but I was an idiot. And Henry said, "Well, you don't think that much of your design. I'm not going to give it to you." And there was Henry. And I didn't get the second Mahara award. Anyway, so now I'm getting another second Mahara Award, Henry Hewes Award. And I think it is about time that we should take our hats off for someone like Henry Hewes. Thank you very much.